Dr. Alex Rivera had exactly one rule for surviving as Earth's Senecultural consultant: never, ever insult alien royalty. So naturally, the first thing he did when meeting the Empress of the Valthene Empire was accidentally break every protocol in her ancient book of customs. It started when he walked into the throne room and tripped over his own feet. The entire Valthene court gasped in horror as Alex stumbled, his data pad flying from his hands and skittering across the polished obsidian floor to land directly at the feet of Empress Calthea herself. "Oh God, I'm so sorry," Alex said, scrambling forward to grab his pad. He looked up from his hands and knees and froze. The Empress was magnificent, 9 feet tall, her skin a deep cosmic purple that seemed to hold entire galaxies within it, shifting and swirling with actual starlight. Her eyes were pure silver, no pupils, just liquid mercury that saw everything. 6 graceful arms adorned with golden bands, and a crown of living crystal that grew from her temples like a natural extension of her being. She was the most powerful being in 7 systems, could order his death with a gesture, and Alex was sprawling at her feet like an idiot. "Your Majesty, I am so sorry," he stammered, trying to stand while also attempting some form of bow, resulting in an awkward half-crouch that made him look like he was having a medical emergency. "The human cannot even approach properly," one of the Valthene courtiers sneered. "Why did we allow this primitive creature access to the Empress?" Alex felt his face burn. He'd spent 6 months preparing for this meeting, learning Valthene customs, practicing the 17 different types of bows required for different social situations, and he'd blown it in the first 30 seconds. "I can do better," Alex said quickly. "If you'll just let me try again." "There is no need." The Empress's voice was like music, layered with harmonics that made Alex's bones resonate. She rose from her throne and the entire court dropped to their knees. Alex, not knowing what else to do, started to kneel as well. "Stand human." It was a command. Alex stood, legs shaking, as the Empress descended the steps of her throne platform. She moved with impossible grace, her 6 arms flowing like water, and she didn't stop until she was standing directly in front of him, close enough that Alex had to crane his neck to meet her eyes. "You are the xenocultural consultant Earth has sent." "Yes, Your Majesty. Dr. Alex Rivera. I specialize in first contact protocols and cultural exchange programs. I'm here to help establish formal relations between Earth and the Valthene Empire, and you greet your Empress by falling at my feet." There was something in her tone that Alex couldn't quite read. Was she angry? Amused? About to have him executed? That wasn't the plan, Alex admitted. The plan involved a lot more dignity and a lot less face-planting. A sound rippled through the throne room. It took Alex a moment to realize it was laughter. The Empress was laughing. "I like you, human," she said, her silver eyes gleaming. "You are honest, clumsy but honest." She reached out with one of her 6 hands and gently lifted his chin. "What is your name?" "Your real name, not your title, Alex. Just Alex, Alex." She said it carefully, like she was tasting the word. "I am Calthea, and you may call me this when we are in private." The court erupted in shocked whispers. Apparently, the Empress offering her personal name to a human was not standard protocol. "Thank you, Your Maj Calthea," Alex corrected himself. "I promise I'll do better. I won't embarrass Earth or your court again." "You did not embarrass me," Calthea said softly so only he could hear. "You surprised me. That is a rare gift for one in my position." Over the next 3 weeks, Alex learned that being the personal consultant to an alien empress was nothing like he'd expected. Calthea was brilliant, curious, and had a sharp wit that caught him off guard constantly. She also had zero concept of personal space and seemed to find reasons to summon Alex to her presence at all hours. "You're here again," Alex said one evening when Calthea appeared in his quarters without announcement. He'd learned that empresses didn't knock. "I had a question about human literature." "You mentioned Shakespeare yesterday, 11 p.m.? You have a question about Shakespeare at 11 p.m. Is this not an acceptable time?" She tilted her head and Alex realized she was genuinely asking. Valthene apparently didn't sleep the way humans did. "It's fine," Alex sighed, gesturing to the couch. "What do you want to know?" What followed was 3 hours of Alex trying to explain Romeo and Juliet while Calthea listened with rapt attention, all 6 of her hands moving expressively as she asked questions. "So they died because they could not be together?" she asked, her voice sad. "Their families' hatred destroyed them." "Yeah, pretty much. It's a tragedy?" "It is more than tragedy. It is waste." Calthea's silver eyes fixed on him with uncomfortable intensity. "If you love someone, you fight for them. You defy anyone who would keep you apart. You do not surrender to death." "That's a very Valthene perspective," Alex said carefully. It is the only logical perspective. She paused. Alex, if your family forbade you from caring for someone, would you obey? I'd like to think I'd choose my own path. But I've never been in that situation, so I don't know. If I commanded you to care for someone, would you obey? The question hung in the air, weighted with something Alex didn't quite understand. You can't command feelings. Kyle-Ethia, they just happen. Or they don't. Yes, she said softly. They just happen. Or they don't. She stood abruptly. I should let you rest. I apologize for the intrusion. It's not an intrusion. I like talking to you. The words came out before Alex could stop them. You're interesting, and you actually listen instead of just waiting for your turn to talk. Plus, you ask questions that make me think. Kyle-Thea's skin shimmered, colors swirling faster. Alex had learned this was a sign of emotion, though he wasn't sure which emotion. You like talking to me, she repeated. Yes, despite my rank, despite my power, despite the fact that I am not human. Because of those things, not despite them, Alex said. You're fascinating, Kyle-Ethia. You're an empress of 7 systems. You have living crystal growing from your head, and you're genuinely invested in understanding human poetry. How is that not interesting? She moved closer and Alex's breath caught. My council believes I spend too much time with you. They say it is inappropriate for an empress to seek the company of an alien consultant so frequently. What do you think? I think. She stopped, her 6 hands flexing with visible frustration. I think I have not cared what my council thinks in many years. I think I make my own choices. And I think, she took a breath, I think I do not wish to stop seeing you, Alex Rivera, regardless of what anyone believes is appropriate. Alex's heart was pounding. Kyle-Ethia, I know this is sudden. I know we are different species. I know there are protocols and rules and 1,000 reasons why an empress should not. She stopped again, and when she spoke next, her voice was almost vulnerable. Tell me to stop. Tell me this is only my imagination, and I will leave you in peace. What if I don't want you to stop? The words were out before Alex could think them through. What if I've been looking forward to these late night conversations? What if I've started to care about you too? Kyle-Thea's eyes widened. You care for me? Yeah, I do. Which is insane because you're an empress and I'm just a consultant from Earth. And there's probably 17 different laws against this. 19. Kyle-Thea corrected. 19 laws forbidding romantic or bonding relationships between the empress and non-Valthene citizens. That's not encouraging. I am the empress. I can change the laws. The absolute certainty in her voice made Alex laugh. Just like that. You change centuries of tradition? For you. Yes? She moved even closer, and suddenly Alex was surrounded by her presence, her scent like ozone and starlight, her 6 hands gently framing his face and shoulders. I would change everything for you, Alex. I would rewrite every law, defy every tradition. I would... She stopped, something playful entering her expression. I would even kneel if you asked it of me. Alex remembered his stumbling entrance to the throne room. I jokingly asked what would happen if I didn't bow. Are you seriously saying you'd kneel for me? I would do more than kneel. Her voice was fierce now, passionate. I would give up my crown if that was what it took to have you. I would walk away from my empire, from my power, from everything I have ever known. Because in 3 weeks you have become more essential to me than 7 systems of subjects. That's insane. Yes, it is also true. She pulled back slightly. I know this is overwhelming. I know human customs require time, courtship, gradual progression. I am willing to wait, to court you properly, to give you time to... Kyle-Thea! Yes! Shut up and kiss me! The smile that broke across her face was radiant. That is not proper protocol. I don't care about protocol. Neither do I, she said, and then she was kissing him, and Alex discovered that having 6 arms meant being held like the most precious thing in the universe, completely surrounded and safe and cherished. When they finally broke apart, Alex was breathless and grinning like an idiot. Your council is going to lose their minds. Let them. I am the empress. They serve me, not the other way around. The press is going to have a field day. Alien empress falls for clumsy human. I prefer empress defies convention for love. It sounds more romantic. You're ridiculous. I am an empress in love. We are allowed to be ridiculous. Alex laughed and pulled her back down to the couch. So what now? Do we have to do anything official? Make announcements. Eventually. First, I wish to simply be with you. No councils. No protocols, no empire. Just you and me. I can do that. They sat together in the quiet of Alex's quarters, Kyle-Thea's multiple arms wrapped around him in ways that should have been awkward, but felt perfectly natural. Outside, the Valthene court was probably in chaos. The diplomatic corps was likely panicking. The entire political structure of 7 systems was probably about to shift. But in this moment, Alex didn't care. He had an empress who looked at him like he was more valuable than her crown, who was willing to change laws and defy traditions, who'd promised to kneel for him even though she was the most powerful being in known space. And all because he'd tripped and fallen at her feet. "Alex," Calthea said softly. "Yeah, thank you for being clumsy." "That's the weirdest thank you I've ever received. If you had walked in with perfect protocol, bowed properly, kept your distance, I might never have noticed you. But you fell at my feet, looked up at me with those honest eyes, and apologized like you'd committed a crime. You were real, genuine. And I have been surrounded by perfect protocol my entire life. I did not know how desperately I wanted something real until you gave it to me." Alex turned in her embrace to look up at her. "You know we're going to have to deal with all of this eventually. The politics, the laws, the fact that I'm human and you're Valthine, and we're probably going to cause a diplomatic crisis." "Yes, eventually. But tonight, I am not an empress. I am simply Calthea, who is foolishly, completely, irrevocably in love with a clumsy human who makes me laugh and thinks and feels and sees me as more than my crown. And I'm just Alex, who somehow convinced the most powerful being in 7 systems that I'm worth breaking rules for." "You are worth breaking everything for," Calthea corrected. "And I intend to prove it to you every day, for as long as you will have me. That's a pretty big commitment. I am an empress. I do not make small commitments." Alex smiled and settled back against her, feeling her arms tighten around him protectively. "Then I guess we're doing this." "Yes, we are doing this." And in the quiet of that moment, surrounded by an alien empress who loved him enough to change the universe, Alex thought maybe tripping over his own feet was the best thing that had ever happened to him. After all, it had led him here, to her, to this impossible, wonderful, absolutely insane future they were about to build together, one clumsy step at a time.